What is going on, guys? It is a beautiful day here in California. Welcome to another episode of Mind Muscle Meditation. Thanks for joining me today. So, today I really want to talk about insulin manipulation. I apologize that I have not posted a video in a while, but I have just been really motivated to start again, and this particular topic has just been at the top of my head, and I really want to express some new knowledge that I've learned about the subject to you guys and really explain why it's so important to understand insulin. So let's get right into it. So first of all, insulin is really important for the golden era bodybuilders. And a lot of people that are in really great shape, whether they are understanding exactly what they're doing or not, are most likely manipulating insulin in some way, shape, or form. Whether or not they're on performance enhancing drugs, it really doesn't make that big of a difference, because when it comes down to insulin, what the golden era bodybuilders had was a very lean, muscular physique. And if you study insulin and how it works in the body, and then you study, films like Pumping Iron, and you study the bodybuilders from the golden era, the 60s, 70s, even 80s. They had a very distinct look to them. And part of the reason is because there wasn't growth hormone, right? There wasn't insulin that could be injected. But the manipulation of one's natural insulin is definitely the key to the physiques that these bodybuilders attain. And the reason why I love the golden era so much is because they had a very lean physique. They had the V taper, a very thin waist, large arms, big shoulders, big chest, fully proportional. They look like a real statue, like a Greek god, like everything that you would want a bodybuilder to look like. And I'm not trying to discredit the Mr. Olympias now, but with all the crazy growth hormone and all the other drugs that they're taking in excess, it's really not aesthetically pleasing anymore like the golden era bodybuilders. So you'll notice in Pumping Iron, Arnold says, "Don't eat the bread," right? Anytime that you have carbohydrates present in the bloodstream, what happens is the intake of carbohydrates are going to spike blood sugar. And insulin has to rise in order to lower the blood sugar, okay? So this is the same principle why there's diabetics, because they're constantly spiking their blood sugar all throughout the day, eating 10, 12 times, high sugar contents, high fructose corn syrup, right? Any type of sugar. You have fructose, sucrose, glucose. All of these are going to be sugars that require insulin to rise and then downregulate. Insulin is a storage hormone. You cannot burn fat in the presence of insulin. So what needs to happen is a low carbohydrate diet. Now, there's a couple of components to this, right? And we can get into a lot of different subjects, and this video can take an hour. My purpose here at Mind Muscle Meditation is to bring you information in a concise manner so that you can implement it right away in your life. Okay? So I'm hoping that we can get this done within 10 minutes. Now, what you have to understand about insulin is that anytime sugar is taken into the body, and this doesn't have to be just white sugar. This could be breads, pasta, any carbohydrate that has a high glycemic index. Now, if you don't know what that is, before you eat something, make sure that you're reading the back of the label, all of the ingredients, looking at the carbohydrates, how much fiber is in there, how much sugar is in there. And some things that spikes your insulin, for instance, maltodextrin, don't actually have sugar, but they're a high glycemic carb. So it's just, you might as well have sugar. So, and I'm not saying carbohydrates are bad. What I'm saying is that if you're not manipulating your insulin properly, you're not going to have the physique that you want. if you're looking for that lean golden era type of physique, if that's what you're building your body for. So what you need to do is learn how to manipulate insulin. Now, what I'm doing right now is during the beginning of the day, I will have virtually no carbohydrates. So I wake up at 5 a.m. and I don't have carbohydrates until probably about 2. Now, I like to have a little bit of carbohydrates before I work out. 2 purposes for that. One, you're going to replenish the glycogen within the liver and your muscles, so you have extra power. Now, post-workout carbs, some people say you want to spike your insulin after post-workout so it could draw the nutrition in. I don't really believe that, and here's why. Muscle recovery takes 48 to 72 hours, okay? There's no half an hour anabolic window that you need to get your protein shake in. If you train legs hard and you're sore 3 days later, you're still repairing. So how could you possibly, have a protein shake right after you work out and that's going to magically rebuild your muscles? It just doesn't happen, okay? So the idea is to keep insulin low during the first part of the day. And what this does is it creates sensitivity to carbohydrates, and it also primes my body for fat burning. Because if you're not taking carbohydrates, the only other 2 sources that you can consume, besides alcohol, of course, is going to be fat and protein, and obviously no alcohol. So fats and protein tend to have a very slight increase in insulin as opposed to sugar, which basically goes straight up. So the idea is to just blip on the radar as far as your insulin goes when you eat. You don't really want to be, spiking your blood sugar all the time because, like I said, you cannot burn fat in the presence of insulin. Insulin is a storage hormone. Any carbohydrates that are utilized, that aren't utilized for glycogen refill in your liver and your muscles are going to go to fat storage. Okay, so that's why you see a lot of people, they will that are in terrible shape. They eat things that are sugary and fatty, right? High calories with lots of sugar, spikes the insulin, and then all that fat that was taken in with the sugar has to go somewhere because insulin is trying to take the sugar out of the bloodstream. It has to deposit it. And where is it going to do that? On the side of your stomach, on your glutes. It's going to deposit fat, okay? So the reason why the golden era bodybuilders looked so good is because typically they followed a very low carbohydrate diet. And if you're following a very low carbohydrate diet, you're typically keeping insulin very, very low, okay? So you're not really going to get out of that fat burning state. Number one, if your primary source of fuel is going to be protein and fat, the body will adapt. It will become fat adapted. It will be able to use the fat as energy, okay? The other thing about fat is it's highly nutritious. Egg whites, avocado, nuts, olive oil, salmon is very fatty, egg yolks. So these things are actually going to be very nutritious for building muscle, and they're going to give your body the cholesterol it needs to build the testosterone. So a high-fat diet is really good, gives you lots of energy, and then when you're no longer utilizing the dietary fat to burn your energy, burn for energy, you're going to use your body fat. And since your body is primed for fat burning because you're manipulating insulin with a low carbohydrate diet, you're going to easily burn body fat as fuel. So when somebody wakes up first thing in the morning and they do fasted cardio, they are going to burn pretty much nothing but body fat because there's no glycogen ready to be used. So it's very easy to burn body fat first thing in the morning, especially if you're doing several things to enhance that fat burning. Now, as the day goes by, you want to be burning fat pretty much as you can. if you eat butter or if you eat any fatty foods, you're going to have a slight spike in insulin. But so for instance, like if you eat butter, it's a 4 on the glycemic index, where glucose is 99. Sucrose, regular table sugar, is 66, right? And so that butter will have a very slight effect on insulin. So again, the idea is to keep your carbohydrates low. The reason why this works so well is because it keeps satiety very high. You're really feeling satiated with the fat that you're consuming and the protein. So basically, the fat will slow down the absorption of protein because fat takes longer to digest. And what this does is it prolongs the absorption and digestion of the protein so that you're digesting the protein over a longer period of time, where it's more like an IV drip of protein so that you remain in an anabolic state. Ideally, you want to be consuming 6 protein meals a day, about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And if you're doing that with fats and not carbs, not only are you not spiking insulin, you're reducing the amount that protein is absorbed, because you don't have to deposit it anywhere if you're spiking your blood sugar with carbs. And since you don't have the carbs in the system, you're actually able to just use that protein to recover the muscles over the next 48 to 72 hour period and still remain in a fat burning state, or at least become fat adapted as you're burning that dietary fat for fuel. So realistically, guys, manipulating insulin is one of the absolute best things that you can do for your physique. Now, fasting will also help you manipulate insulin, but you want to be careful not to fast too much if you're looking to build muscle, because you do need that protein in order to maintain the muscle. Now, some types of protein will absorb very quickly. For instance, whey protein and egg whites. And so these are, if you're following a low carb diet, these are better off consumed with fat, so you slow the absorption so you don't get the insulin spike from the protein. So another couple tips, the protein, you burn about 33% of that just due to the digestive process. So if you think about it, if you're not getting the carbs and you're burning 33% of the protein that you take in due to digestion, and you're getting the fat, you're really covering a lot of bases. Now, you definitely want to be making sure that you get your vegetables in, so that you're maxing out your micronutrition. You might need a multivitamin in order to help you do that. But what I want you to remember is the fact that insulin is the key. You don't need insulin in order to build muscle, okay? Your body is still going to naturally produce small amounts of insulin with the protein and fats that you intake, but you don't necessarily need high glycemic carbs. Now, if you are going to take in carbohydrates, what I would recommend is taking it in towards the end of the day, not the beginning of the day, because when you take in carbs and your insulin goes up and then it comes back down, that signals hunger to the brain. So by eating carbohydrates, it's going to be harder for you to diet and get that lean physique that you want. But if you're taking in the carbs later in the day, then hopefully you've been able to take in fats and protein earlier in the day and get you through the point where later in the day you're going to be able to manipulate those carbs for your workout, or perhaps for glycogen refill for the next day. So guys, do your due diligence, research insulin, learn it, and this will really help you on your quest to a better physique, and hopefully one day build a golden era bodybuilding physique. Guys, thanks for watching today. I really appreciate your time. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, if you found value in it. Let me know what you think below in the comments. I'd love to continue this conversation. This is Mind Muscle Meditation. Appreciate your time. I'll see you on the next one.